I'm gonna tell you the first thing I tell motherfuckers is you don't even really want to get in this business for real. This is a business. It's like, you know what I'm saying, it's give or take. It's like a whole lot of times it don't even got nothing to do with your talent.
Genuine, like, she was just like that, man. Like, she didn't deserve that, man. That wasn't for her. That wasn't for her. That, man, I ain't no funeral type of guy. I went to the funeral on my own.
Aaliyah, what they did with her is the same thing that Quaker Mutua talks about in his thing, where he talks about they could get the energy of a young girl and put them in the bed with an old man, and they can draw her energy. Aaliyah, what they did with Aaliyah is, although they sacrificed it, they did the movie Akasha.
Before Static Major passed, there were whispers he knew way more about Aaliyah's tragic death than he ever dared to say. Static and Aaliyah were tight, real close, and both of them died young, sudden, and under some seriously shady circumstances. Aaliyah's plane crash was called an accident, and Static's death got blamed on a random medical issue. But when you really look at the timing, the folks around them, and the eerie silence that followed both tragedies, it's impossible not to wonder if something deeper was going on. Static wasn't just some songwriter for Aaliyah. Nah, he helped build her whole vibe. That futuristic R&B that made her a legend. He was crafting it right there with her in the studio, seeing everything that went down behind the scenes. After Aaliyah died, Static kept it moving like everyone else, but he got way more quiet, way more cautious.
What do you want your legacy to be? I mean, I know you're 22, it's pretty young, but like if you could be like, okay, this is what I want to leave my mark as.
I don't know, right now it's hard to say what I want my legacy to be, what I want people to say when I'm long gone. And that's how I was trained, and I want people to look at me as a full-on entertainer and a good person. So, we'll talk a few years down the line and we'll see where my head is at then.
Then he started dropping little hints about the music industry, saying how dangerous it gets for people who are too pure for that dirty game. But here's where it really gets crazy. Rumor has it, Static kept a secret diary back then, writing down everything he couldn't say out loud. Names, events, wild things he witnessed, dark stories he overheard, all the ugly truths of the music business behind closed doors. That diary, it's never been officially found. Some say it straight up vanished after he died. But pieces of it allegedly leaked online, and from what's in there, you can tell he was carrying something heavy on his chest. Then, boom! He dies too, just as he was about to launch his solo comeback. So what was Static really trying to tell us? Did he uncover the truth about Aaliyah's death? And did somebody make sure we'd never hear it? Let's dig into this. First off, let's get it straight. Who was Static Major, really? Too many people sleep on his name like he was just some random background writer. But nah, Static, born Stephen Garrett, was one of the most powerful forces behind late 90s and early 2000s R&B. Yeah, he was part of the group Playa, but his real magic? It happened behind the curtain. This man didn't just write catchy hooks, he crafted entire sounds. Static had a rare gift, an ear for what was about to blow up before anyone else even heard it. He wasn't chasing trends. He made them.
R&B star Stephen Garrett was laid to rest today. Known in the music industry as Static, Garrett died Monday from complications from a medical procedure.
And when it came to Aaliyah, she wasn't just another artist he worked with, not even close. She was one of the few people in the game he truly connected with. Static co-wrote her biggest hits. Are you that somebody? Try again. We need a resolution, and More Than a Woman. Aaliyah's smooth, cool vibe blended perfectly with Static's sharp, futuristic lyrics. Together, they created music that was way ahead of its time.
She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs. Why would you need to sign a non-disclosure agreement about a plane crash?
But that connection went deeper than just music. Folks who were around them swear Static and Aaliyah had a real bond, a deep respect for each other. and the streets even whispered they were more than friends. According to Static's own mother, they actually dated briefly back in '98 before deciding they were better off as close friends. His mom told the source, they were definitely an item. Aaliyah was crazy about him. He brought Aaliyah to my wedding. That's what someone close to Static said, and that was a big deal because her parents rarely let her go anywhere. So when Aaliyah tragically passed in August 2001, it wasn't just business for Static. It hit him deep, personal, like losing family. But here's what people don't talk about enough. Static didn't try to cash in on Aaliyah's name after she was gone. He didn't ride her wave like so many others did. Instead, he moved more quietly, almost like he was being cautious, maybe even protecting something. And that's exactly what makes what happened next so suspicious.
A whole lot of y'all probably don't know, but you know what I'm saying, I'm responsible for like majority of the hits that came out, the big ones, your favorite ones, the last decade. I did Pony, I did Dirty South, Can Y'all Really Feel Me, East Coast Feel Me, I did Rock the Boat, I did It's So Contagious, Returns My Pages, my first time working with Dr. Dre. What's up, Doc? Me and Doc put that down and Doc moved so fast. We did the song. By the time I got back in Louisville, I heard the on the radio. That's how fast it moves when you do a monster joint like that. I did Same OG. I did So Anxious, which a whole lot of babies was made that year. You know what I'm saying? Courtesy of me. Y'all like to get back to the population. I wrote. What's I wrote? Shorty, say what's your price? Just to back it up, you can hold my ice. My first time working with Nas, you know what I'm saying? And once again, it was magic, you know what I'm saying? What else I did? Don't change the game for these hoes. We play the game like we supposed. Yeah, it was me on that hook too. And them niggas didn't even call me for the video, but it's all good.
After Aaliyah's death, something clearly changed in him. He didn't disappear completely, but he stayed out of the spotlight. He kept writing behind the scenes for big names. Genuine, Truth Hurts, Brandy, and eventually Lil Wayne. Oh, and in case you didn't know, that's actually Static's voice singing the hook on Lollipop, one of Wayne's biggest smashes ever. But behind closed doors, Static was also cooking up something personal, his own solo project. After years of staying in the background, he was finally ready to step up and tell his story. His solo album, Supper Time, was already in development before his death in 2008. The project was reportedly close to done, some tracks even finished and ready. But after his sudden and shocking death, the album got shelved indefinitely. And even now, the full project remains unreleased. Nobody knows if it's sitting somewhere collecting dust, if it's gone forever, or if it'll ever see the light of day. Insiders who worked on Static's solo project dropped some wild hints. His lyrics weren't just about love or steamy nights like the industry expected. Some of that unreleased music had a darker, more mysterious vibe. And one track allegedly even mentioned Aaliyah's power. On top of that, Static was keeping private notes and writing in a journal. Folks close to him said he was planning to finally speak up about what really went down. But he was just waiting for the perfect moment.
What was it like working with Static? Man, Static a beast. But you know, there was a whole group. Static was a part of a group, man. They was signed to Cash Money. He just was the lead of the group. Yeah, and so they had a little R&B group, and he was the lead of that group. So he was like, he would navigate, you know what I mean? He was navigating whatever they was doing. He had songs that he'd have hooks for and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Everybody wouldn't take to him, but I told you, me, being a little different about the women and the way I approach women. So let me hear that, that Lollipop one. I got something for that, and that's how I go.
Sadly, that moment never came. On February 25th, 2008, Static walked into a hospital saying he felt flu-like symptoms and was struggling to breathe. Just a few days later, he was gone, just like that. No autopsy report was ever released to the public. No follow-up, no real investigation. Static was only 33 years old, and he left behind his wife, Avanti Garrett, and 4 kids. His family later filed a lawsuit for medical negligence against Baptist Hospital East in Louisville, Kentucky. They eventually settled out of court. But the real cause of his death was never fully explained. And here's the chilling part. You don't even have to believe in conspiracies to see the pattern here. Static wasn't the first, and definitely not the last, to die young in the music business under strange, unresolved circumstances. The industry has a long, dark history of people passing suddenly while questions get swept under the rug. And all of that circles right back to Aaliyah. The official story of her death? Not just tragic, it was suspicious, rushed, and full of contradictions. More than 20 years later, and there are still way too many unanswered questions. Why was Aaliyah even on that plane? Who gave the green light? And why was she given a sleeping pill before being carried on board unconscious? According to eyewitness Kingsley Russell, Aaliyah actually refused to get on the plane at first.
Plane just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented singer and actress. Jeff Roston is live in Times Square with more on her life. Jeff.
And Aaliyah had a huge following not only here in New York City but nationwide. Only 22 years old, this pop sensation was a popular singer. She was an actress in some movies recently, even a Grammy nominee. Tonight, her family is in mourning. Fans asking, why her? Relatives in shock outside Aaliyah's home on the Upper West Side. The R&B star lived here at the Century, Central Park West and 63rd. She was on a small plane heading to Florida from the Bahamas, where she was shooting a music video.
He said she went back to a taxi, holding her head and complaining about a bad headache. Then, someone from her own team gave her a pill. And just moments later, they carried her limp body onto the plane. Kingsley's family ran a taxi service in the Bahamas, where Aaliyah was shooting her final music video, Rock the Boat. He claims he saw her last moments alive, and just hours later, Aaliyah and everyone else on that plane were gone. The plane went down right after takeoff, crashing about 200 feet from the runway. The official report said the plane was overloaded and one engine failed, but there have always been conflicting stories about what really happened. Even though the crash was officially called an accident, a lot of people in the industry hinted it wasn't just bad luck. Remember when Mary J. Blige called it spiritual? You really gotta wonder, why would anyone even describe a plane crash as murder? Even if Mary didn't mean it literally. It's still strange she chose those words. You even heard Mary say herself, from what I know, it wasn't supposed to go down like that. So what exactly did she mean? And why has she always refused to explain what she really knew?
Just know that that was a murder. You know what I'm saying? That was a spiritual murder. Whether people know it or not. Because God don't kill people. You know what I'm saying? Whether people know it or not. And I could go deep, but a lot of people I would have to really bring proof. You know what I'm saying? For what I learned. And she just was cut down in the prime of her life. And it's so unfair. And it wasn't time. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, I believe it wasn't her time to go because from what I know, it ain't supposed to go down like that.
After that chilling comment, people started connecting the dots. And some big names kept coming up. R. Kelly, Jay-Z, Diddy. Not just in messy gossip, but in serious talks about who really had access to Aaliyah, who was hovering around her, and who might have wanted her gone. With R. Kelly, it wasn't just that he dated Aaliyah. He straight up victimized her and illegally married her when she was only 15. And he was 27. That's not some rumor. It's fully documented, proven, and part of the evidence that eventually got him locked up. But here's what's really disturbing. Even after all that twisted history with R. Kelly, other powerful men in the industry kept circling Aaliyah like vultures. According to Dame Dash, Jay-Z knew what R. Kelly did to her and still worked with him anyway. Meanwhile, Jay allegedly became obsessed with Aaliyah himself, trying hard to win her over. But Aaliyah chose Dame instead. And if you believe what Jaguar Wright's been saying for years, Jay-Z didn't take that rejection lightly. Jaguar claims Jay's ego just couldn't handle it. Aaliyah became a problem for him, a threat to his pride, his image, and his plans. And the darkest theory? That Jay wanted her out of the way, both to hurt Dame and clear a path for Beyonce. And then we gotta talk about Diddy. Aaliyah showed up at his infamous all-white parties, And some folks believe Jay used his tight connection with Diddy to try and get Aaliyah hooked on something: substances, control, dependency, anything to keep her under their thumb.
Prosecutors say she is one of the victims in a decades-long criminal enterprise led by R. Kelly, essentially for the purpose of underage girls. Now, during this trial, one of R. Kelly's former tour managers testified that he is the one who personally bribed a government official to get a fake ID for Aaliyah, saying that she was 18 years old when she was really 15. Why did he do that? Because R. Kelly reportedly wanted to marry her. That's what this man testified. And he said that R. Kelly wanted to marry her because he had gotten Aaliyah pregnant. And he wanted to be able to legally authorize an abortion for her as a minor at just 15 years old. And he also wanted to protect himself from prosecution.
It's reprehensible.
It's awful.
I understood the getting married part. I didn't realize there was a potential baby involved.
And he was seeking protection for himself, according to this testimony, that he didn't want to get in trouble for this pregnancy, and so he was trying to fix it.
Yeah, it's speculation. But when you see the power plays and the long history between Jay and Diddy, it's not so hard to believe something shady was going on. But here's one thing nobody can deny. Aaliyah was surrounded by powerful, predatory men from the moment she stepped into the industry. And heartbreakingly, the people who were supposed to protect her didn't. The few real ones who tried to help her, like Static Major and DMX, also ended up dead under suspicious circumstances. Now, some insiders claim Static didn't fully understand what was happening at first. But after Aaliyah passed, everything changed for him. That's when he started keeping his diary. That's when his lyrics took a darker turn. And in some resurfaced interviews, he even spoke about how twisted the industry really is. How people will smile right in your face while plotting your downfall. So if Static was really trying to protect Aaliyah, or at least expose the truth after she was gone, it makes a lot of sense why he might have been silenced too. But what do you think? Was Aaliyah's death really just a tragic accident, or was something much darker lurking behind the scenes? And here's another layer people don't talk about enough: the silence from the industry after both of their deaths. When Aaliyah passed, everyone was quick to put out statements, tributes, and tears on camera. But behind closed doors, nobody really pushed for answers. No one questioned why she was put on that overloaded plane or why she was carried on unconscious.
Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling.
And when Static died, the same pattern repeated. A couple of headlines, some RIP posts, and then silence. No outrage, no demand for an investigation. Just another young artist gone too soon, swept under the rug. It almost feels like the whole business just wanted to move on. Like it was more convenient for both of them to be gone. And let's not forget, both Aaliyah and Static were at a point where they were starting to stand up for themselves, finding their voices, and refusing to play by the unspoken rules of the game. Some insiders even say Static was about to drop a tell-all. Between his diary, his lyrics, and his solo album, he was ready to expose everything he'd seen. And that's why his death hit so hard for those who knew him. So you really have to ask, how many more artists have been silenced this way? How many stories have been buried along with them? And if both Aaliyah and Static were planning to shine light on the darkness, maybe that's exactly what made them a threat. Because in an industry built on secrets, telling the truth can cost you everything, even your life. And here's something else that keeps popping up: the mystery of Static's missing diary. People close to him swear he always kept it with him, even in the studio. That little book was like his armor, full of names, dates, and details of what he'd seen in the shadows of the industry. But after his death, the diary was nowhere to be found. Some say it was taken from his house the same night he passed. Others claim it was already in someone else's hands weeks before. And then, pieces of it started leaking online. Cryptic notes, lyrics that didn't sound like songs at all, and lines that hinted at something much bigger than just gossip. One alleged page read,
The first thing I tell motherfuckers is, you don't even really want to get in this business for real. This is a fucked up business. It's like, you know what I'm saying, it's give or take. It's like a whole lot of times it don't even got nothing to do with your talent. A whole lot of times it got to do with the decisions you make and the motherfuckers around you and the doors you walk.
They smile at you while they plan your fall. Nobody is clean, not even the ones who pretend. Another line simply said, "If I go too, don't believe the story they tell." If these leaks are real, and insiders say they are, then it's clear Static knew something dangerous, and he knew his days might be numbered. And then there's the question of who would even benefit from keeping him quiet. The same names keep coming up: Jay-Z, Diddy, people in powerful positions with everything to lose. And the idea that both Static and Aaliyah were silenced to keep those secrets buried? That's what chills people to this day. So maybe that diary is still out there, locked away somewhere, holding all the answers. Or maybe the truth has already been erased forever, because in this game, the moment you start talking too much, you're already a target. Did Static Major really know the truth about what happened to Aaliyah? And was he silenced before he could ever speak out? The questions still haunt the industry. And now it's your turn to weigh in. Drop all your theories in the comments and let's talk about it. Don't forget to like this video if you're feeling the heat, subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive, and share this with someone who needs to hear the story behind the headlines. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.